I recently did a video on 10 Commandments stone cast wagon loads, and I've since acquired 6 more. As you can see, we have all manner. We have tube loads, wire coils to fit OBA wagons, which I do have. We have steel coil loads, face up wire coil loads, great for the SSA wagons, a scrap load, which I'm quite looking forward to seeing, although it's only for a small wagon, and what is described as a lorry pipe load, but will equally fit on an SAA wagon, for example. Now, rather than try and make a video, I thought I'd actually just use photos and talk over them. Now you can actually see what some of the products look like. They're all sort of a off-white colour with details moulded on. Now, it was going to be necessary this time to use a thinner with the acrylic paints. I like to use acrylic paints because they're water soluble. If you make a mess, it's easy to clean up. But I needed a thinner this time because there was lots of fine details that the thicker paint would just hide, so we went for a thinner. Acrylic paint thinners are not all the same. Some people say you can use water, and probably you can, but I actually went for a proper acrylic resin thinner because it get a much better effect, and you only need it 2 or 3 drops per mix. So now taking the bits and pieces out, and we're going to go with a scrap load first. So the first thing to do with any acrylic paints is give them a good old shake up and then mix an amount in a suitable container. This is the rust coloured paint that I got. I used just a couple of drops of thinner in amongst them and a small brush, and then just started dabbing on and filling in some of the cracks. This was then set aside to dry for a few minutes. I then went with gunmetal grey, and the same process, 4 or 5 drops of the paint to 1 or 2 of the thinner, and look at this, really good effect. I'm really pleased with that. Now we come on to some of the coil loads. One thing to do using a thick felt tip pen is put on the ends like this, so that gives them a bit of depth. And then we mix up another paint mixture. I used steel paint for the coils, and very soon you've got a very nice looking little set of coils. Now we come on to the wire coils. Again, use felt tip to make the ends. I'm using gunship grey and some of the model fillers thinner again. You can see that because the paint is now thinner, it takes in all the detail much better. I then used steel paint to do the retainers. Look pretty good, eh? Now we're mixing up gunmetal and rust together, and that gave a sort of a coppery finish to these face up coils, which I rather like. Maybe they're copper or brass loads. Had to paint them with tweezers though. And now we come on to the lorry pipe loads, which was simply done in the steel paint, again with a few drops of thinner. And the finished results were, that's as you see them there. Pretty good, don't they? Let's do a few close-ups so you can see. Very impressed with the detail that's come on these, and as you can see, I've used a few dabs with the rust just to sort of give a suggestion of a bit of rust creeping in. And the big pipe load's quite heavy actually. You wouldn't want too many of those on unless you've got a strong loco to pull them. And the steel pipes, I think they look really effective. My favourite's probably the baled scrap load there onto the left of that. Then, inspired by this, I decided to make my own scrap loads for my large Bachmann scrap wagons, and I just used bits and pieces of offcuts of kit, stuff from my dad's collection, a few old wheels, a bit of foam cut to the right height, and a bit of card painted black on top. And then I carefully put everything on there. It's to go in these wagons you can see here. And then once it's set overnight, I used PVA diluted, maybe 50-50. And then I painted everything, and I painted in all different colours, including a lot of rust of course, and I think the effect is really good. I'm so looking forward to seeing these going around the layout. Anyway, I hope you found that of interest. Stay tuned for more soon.